AI can absolutely tag a Revit view for you. That part is no longer controversial. What is controversial is whether the result is actually acceptable for real project deliverables, especially when drawings need to meet professional and statutory standards. So the real question isn't just, can AI do it? It's, should we rely on it, and under what conditions? When most people hear AI tagging, they imagine something very human-like. They picture AI looking at a plan and deciding what needs to be tagged, just like a designer would. But that's not how tagging works inside Revit. Revit tagging is not a visual interpretation problem. It's fundamentally a data-driven problem. Elements have parameters, relationships, and constraints, and tagging logic operates on that data. The AI doesn't understand intent. It doesn't know why something should or shouldn't be tagged unless that logic is explicitly defined. For example, this Revit family contains both a table and several chairs. An architect would know to place a single tag for the whole furniture assembly, but the AI doesn't know that if not guided. So, can AI automate Revit tagging? Yes, absolutely, to a degree. Here on screen, I'm showing the inputs going into Taggetize, one of the tools available on the market for Revit tagging. These inputs include element categories, filters, and tagging rules. Once those inputs are defined, the tool can apply them very consistently. It can do so across many views without fatigue or inconsistency. What you're seeing here is the output after running the automation. The tagging is fast, repeatable, and predictable. But it's important to understand what's happening. The AI isn't deciding what's correct, it's executing logic that has already been defined. The quality of the output depends entirely on the quality of that logic. Also, it's important to remember that not every task in Revit is a good candidate for AI, so it's worth asking whether tagging is actually a good fit. AI excels at repetitive, rule-based work. Once the rules are clear, it can apply them at scale very efficiently. Tagging often involves repeating the same decisions across dozens or hundreds of views. That's where automation shines. Where AI struggles is contextual judgment, things like visual intent, drawing hierarchy, or this just looks wrong. Experienced designers catch those issues instantly. AI does not, at least not yet. One reason tagging is hard to automate perfectly is because it's full of nuance. Every company, discipline, and even project tends to have different standards. Some teams only tag elements that pass certain conditions. For example, only walls longer than a minimum length. Others may exclude elements in specific phases or work sets. Some only tag elements visible in certain view types. You may also need different tag families depending on context. The same wall might need a different tag in a plan versus a section. Here on screen, I'm showing where those nuances are configured in Taggetize. Filters are one way to express those rules clearly. This is why generic auto-tag everything approaches break down. This leads to an important point about AI in production workflows. AI doesn't remove decisions, it forces them to be made explicit. Vague instructions don't work. You can't just say, tag this view the best you can. What actually works is defining clear, testable rules. Rules that reflect how your team already works. Here, I'm showing how those instructions are encoded into the tagging setup. Each option represents a deliberate choice. This isn't about complexity for its own sake. It's about making standards repeatable. If you can't explain your tagging logic to a tool, it probably wasn't well defined to begin with. However, one thing to keep in mind is that even with good automation, manual cleanup is often unavoidable. And that's not a flaw. Designers are still responsible for the final drawings. That responsibility doesn't disappear when AI is involved. For compliance reasons, drawings must be checked and approved by a human. This includes meeting building codes and professional standards. No AI tool can sign off a drawing on your behalf, and it shouldn't. What automation does is shift your effort. You spend less time placing tags and more time reviewing intent and accuracy. Where AI tagging is most valuable is on big projects where scale really matters. Most real projects don't have just a few views, they have dozens, sometimes hundreds. Manually tagging those views is extremely time consuming. Revit's native tag all only works on the active view. You still have to repeat the process over and over. Here, I'm batch tagging multiple views in one go. That's where automation becomes powerful. Even if you still need to review and adjust the result, saving 60 to 80% of the effort is already a big win. Another topic that doesn't get enough attention is data security. Many AI tools rely on cloud-based processing. That often means model data is uploaded externally. For many teams, that's a serious concern. IT policies, legal agreements, and client requirements all come into play, especially on larger or sensitive, even confidential projects. Some tools like Taggetize address this by keeping all processing local. that means the model data never leaves the machine. It's not always the most exciting feature to talk about, but for many teams, it's a deciding factor. Looking to the future, AI tagging will continue to improve. Better APIs and smarter tools will push things forward. We'll likely see more hybrid systems, part rule-based, part AI-assisted. But fully context-aware automation is still a long way off, especially in complex BIM environments. For now, realistic expectations matter more than hype. Tools that respect that tend to work best in practice. So, can AI automate Revit tagging? Yes, but only partially. It works best when your data is clean and your rules are explicit, and when humans stay in the approval loop. The goal isn't perfect automation, it's reducing repetitive work without sacrificing responsibility. If you want to see how that approach looks in practice, tools like Taggetize are already built around these principles. Feel free to try it using the link in this video's description. Also, what is your experience or concern with using AI for Revit tagging? Let me know in the comments below. Together, we can find the most balanced workflow for automating tagging in Revit using the latest capabilities offered by AI.
If you like this lesson and want more like this every single week, make sure to subscribe to this channel now. For now, have a good day and I'll see you in the next tutorial.